Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Be Honest podcast. Today we've got Teaghan joining us. You've probably know her from her hilarious videos, her adorable public queer relationship, and of course, a few spicy scandals along the way. We're going to be diving we're going to be diving into it all. So let's get started. So Teaghan, welcome to Let's Be Honest podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super excited for you to be here as well. I'm super excited. Okay, we're gonna start with some fun little like icebreakers and then we'll jump in. Okay. Okay, what's a toxic trait you have in your relationship? You're like
All of the
Kinley
above.
putting me on the spot.
All of the above. I'm trying to think. There's too many to choose from, honestly. I feel like I'm a very anxious attachment. I'm like good at being independent, but I like my girlfriend to be there. And considering we both live apart, I want to see her every minute of every day. I think that is probably like my most like toxic. I feel like we've worked through a lot of what we used to go at it like a lot with, but now like I feel like it's just I want to see her. We both work opposite hours. I would say that's like the most like toxic, just like the mismatch. She's very, what is it? I'm the anxious attachment. She's very secure. So I
Mhm.
would say that's probably where we butt heads the most.
I mean, I get that though. If you guys don't live together and y'all's work schedules are completely different, like I feel like it's normal for you to be like, I want to see you. And like it's your person, so you want to see them all the time.
Yeah. Can you tell her that?
Okay, you can have dinner with one person from lesbian TikTok or just like a lesbian, like, what is it called? Like someone that you look up to. Who are you going to dinner with? Who would you choose?
I would say Renee Rapp. I see a lot of myself in her in the sense of she's very outspoken and doesn't care what people think and sometimes says things before thinking. And I feel like I can very much relate to that, obviously, from my social media presence. I think I would most definitely, like, just to get some reassurance through her, because a lot of people like to tell me, like, oh, your digital footprint is diabolical, luck finding work. And it's like, well, look at her. Okay, well, I'm not a pop star, but it's like, well, look at her. Like, someone's doing it. Somebody is staying authentic to themselves. I feel like that's the most important thing. So I would probably get dinner with her.
That's crazy that people are saying that like your digital footprint, like it's like are they like bashing you on like on what you've done on social media because like,
Yeah,
you know
I get that
what?
a lot. And I don't even think it's that bad. Like, I honestly, and also, like, with the digital footprint, it's like, at least people get a sneak peek of what they're getting themselves into. I don't ever want to work somewhere where they will check my digital footprint and be like, yeah, we don't want you. So I think it
Yeah.
works out for the better. I see it more as like a positive thing when people say that. It's like, okay, good.
Or if they're saying that, they probably don't know the full story, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, nobody ever does,
but they will today.
unfortunately. We live in a time.
Okay, if your relationship had a theme song, what would it be?
Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I don't know why that would be it, but I love that song and I've been listening to it. It's been like my number one song on like Apple Music Replay for the last like 3 years. And considering Danny and I, we've been dating for 2.5 years, but we talked for 7 months. I feel like that would be the theme because it would just have to be by default because it's been my number one and I think about her when I listen to it.
Y'all talked for 7 months?
Yup, it was riveting. I had to prove that I would. It was my first relationship, so I was kind of flying blind. I've had a relationship, but it was with a man, so like I think that cancels out. I don't like to say that out loud. So erasing him from my past, I've only dated Danny. So I didn't really know what I was doing, but for her, she's been in previous relationships. So she recently got out of one. So I was kind of giving her her time, but also telling her, like, hey, look, like, I'm very interested. Like, I want to move forward. It was just kind of like a steady build up. But yeah, I wanted to date her after a month. So that was a really fun time for us to navigate. But I guess we were really sure that we wanted to be with each other in that moment. So I guess like it worked out, but we could have been at 3 years already, so that kind of stings, but whatever.
That's cute. Y'all, you gave it time and here you are. So,
Yes.
Okay, what is the most unhinged thing you've ever done for content?
Ooh. I don't think I'm at like a place where I've done anything like explicitly for content, but I definitely film things that should not be filmed at all. I would say probably after I got my nasal surgery, everybody thought I got a nose job, which kind of offended that people thought that like I would be fixing my nose. Like, I don't know. Whatever, I let it slide. I think when after I got out of surgery, like letting my girlfriend and my mom film me and then afterwards coming home, like the screaming video, that video has probably over like 20 million views across like TikTok and Instagram. I think that was like probably the most unhinged because it's me in a very vulnerable moment where I probably shouldn't have had my camera out, but I'm not even like conscious of like what I'm doing. So I feel like, and then posting it still regardless. I think that's probably the most unhinged thing I've posted. Other than that, I feel like I keep it pretty like, I just kind of document my day-to-day life. Also considering I live in a village, there's not much to do. I can't like go anywhere and do anything awesome. I tried to meet with a sidekick for a YouTube video, but then I got there and she told me I couldn't film. So I basically went there for no reason. So that was riveting. But I feel like besides that, I think just besides those two, I just kind of document
Yeah.
along the way.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel like those types of videos that like are you literally like you're just being your full authentic self. I feel like the people get it. You know, I mean, hence
They
the
do.
reason why you and your partner like have a good amount of following is because they like what they see. They see that y'all are authentic. They see that y'all are just like this is who we
Yeah.
are. Like if you guys don't like it, y'all don't like it. Like you know what I mean? And I love that. Okay, I want us to talk about you and your partner, how y'all met, all that stuff. So, yeah, how did you and Danny, that's your partner's name, right, Danny? How did you and
Yes.
Danny meet?
So we went to the same high school. At this time, she had a boyfriend, but I immediately was captivated by her because obviously there's just not a lot of people who look like her in our small town. And at this point, I didn't realize like I was fully queer. I was like, oh, I'm bi, but like, let's be serious. I did not, I was actually repulsed by men. So I was just in denial a little bit. But I was at tennis tryouts and Danny was there. She didn't really have like a friend group at the time because she was so involved with her boyfriend. So she didn't necessarily like have a partner. So when we were like teaming up, I like came up to her and I was like, "You're gonna be my partner." And she was like, "Okay." And that was genuinely how it all started. It was just very immediate. Ever since then, we like immediately clicked. And through high school, this was like my sophomore year, we stayed in contact. We were just very much like kind of, I wouldn't say parasocial. Like we had our moments where we would see each other and we would say hi, of course, but for the most part, we would just troll with each other on social media, leave like vulgar comments on each other's posts. I would DM her like on her stories, but she had a boyfriend, so I truly thought she wasn't queer. And then around my senior year, she started posting more about being queer. And she still had her boyfriend, so I was like, all right. Then they broke up. Then they got back together. I gassed her up. I was like, you guys are made in the stars, even though I was like choking back tears because of course I won. I've been in line for like 3 years at that point, so I was just waiting for my time to shine. And we kind of disconnected while she had her second boyfriend. After that, after she and her boyfriend broke up, I was walking with a girl I was talking to at that time, and I saw Danny in front of me at our community college. And that's when I reached out to her. She didn't reply. I reached out again. She didn't reply. Reached out a few months later. She didn't reply. And then in October 29th, she finally, of 2022, she finally replied and she agreed to hang out. So, and we
So
were
you
both single.
so you didn't just double text. You didn't just triple text. You quadruple
Yes, no shame.
texted.
I
Yeah,
knew
no
what I
shame. No
wanted.
shame in the game. Exactly. You got to go for what you want. So whenever she didn't respond the first couple of times, what was going through your brain? Were you like, she's just not interested, or like,
I
how
was
did
like,
you
she
have
wants me.
the wait? What'd you say?
I was like, she wants me. She's definitely just too anxious to reply. I would wait like a month or two in between texts to her because I didn't want to be like overbearing, even though I think we were way past that point. So I guess there was nothing to lose. But that was kind of my mindset at the time. Like there was nothing to lose. And considering we live in it's genuinely classified as a village because there's so little people here. It is a village. There's not a lot of people, especially like queer people, I can like align with. And knowing there was someone I was so enthralled with and that I like had so much attraction towards that was just in my hometown, it was very hard to ignore. And also someone I knew like we had an amazing relationship prior because of our friendship. Like I knew we would have so much fun together. And I also didn't have a lot of friends. So I was like, even worst comes to worst, nothing comes out of this. I would still have a really good friend. And that's kind of exactly what happened.
So y'all were friends for how long until y'all started dating?
5 years.
Oh my God. That's
Yep. I
crazy.
was lurking in the friend zone for quite some time. Uh wouldn't want it
Yeah,
any
that's
other way, but it was definitely was some trial and tribulations along the way.
at least it worked out. Like that's cute. You know what I mean? At least it wasn't like 5 years of friendship. Y'all dated for like 2 months and then like it never worked out. You know what I mean? Like at least
Yeah.
it worked out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't imagine if it didn't happen the way it did. And also it made me like very sure of the idea. I know like a lot of people get into like or I know of a lot of people who get into their first queer relationship and they realize, wait, I'm not ready for this. This is too much. Like, I don't know if I'm ready to be with a woman. Like, for me, I was so ready. And the thought of like my first girlfriend being Danny, like, it was just literally as I said, I was walking with the one girl I was talking to down the hallway and I saw Danny in front of me. It was already not working out with this one girl. It was very, very obvious. I actually went to her house and I was hanging out with her and I left her house and then I turned back around because I was like, I'm gonna tell her how I feel, and there was a dude over, so that was everything. And that was the next day is when I saw Danny. So it all worked out. Like it fell perfectly into place. I can't imagine if it didn't happen this way because maybe I would have still been pursuing her, or maybe I don't know. It's just so crazy the way it worked out. Like she was put right in front of me right when I needed her.
Yeah. Did you ever ask her, like, why didn't you ever respond to me?
Yeah. Her boyfriend was very controlling in the sense where she couldn't really hang out with friends, unfortunately. She was in one of those relationships. So that was kind of the reality of her situation. Also, she was in like a very like negative place mentally, which obviously how could you not be when you're dating someone who doesn't want you to have friends? So she was very much like removed. She was like still going to community college, didn't really I think she was still like on like had one class in person. So I feel like she was just kind of like very much removed and didn't necessarily know how to go about like, oh, somebody wants to like be my friend
Yeah.
until like her and her boyfriend broke up. And then a few months later when I reached out again, it was like, okay, like wait, a friend sounds really nice because at this
Yeah.
point in time we were both going to community college and didn't have any friends. We had no friends.
So you reached out as a friend and then it eventually turned into y'all like liking each other.
I reached out as a friend, but I knew what I wanted. Like I knew it was gonna the first time we hung out, I literally told her that I wanted to date her. So very embarrassing. I It's like I was going as the Wizard of Oz in that moment. There was just it was hard to like it was very obvious what I wanted, and I don't think she had never been in like a queer relationship, so it was all very new. But of course, we saw each other on a Friday, and then we saw each other again that Sunday, and then it just kept going and going. We just like could not stop seeing each other.
So then y'all were talking for 7 months. This is where the 7 months comes in, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all were talking for 7 months. And then who asked the question? Like who was like, I'm ready to date you. Like I want you to be my girlfriend.
I was the one who officially asked, but I knew that she was in a place where she would say yes. Like we had talked about it and she was ready for a relationship. So I waited till she was ready and then I asked her to be my girlfriend.
And then when did you guys start making like content together?
We didn't start making content till like a year and a half after we started dating.
Okay. And then
It was
yeah, like
very
what made you guys want to? Were y'all just like, let's just make some videos? Or were you guys like let's plan, like let's try to be this like cute lesbian like couple on TikTok, or we all just like, nah, let's just have fun with it?
At this point in time, we both like loved making videos, but it was on like our own platforms. And then we kind of came to the consensus that there were so many queer creators that we looked up to, and we were kind of thinking like I wonder if there's anybody that this younger generation can look up to that is more like in our age demographic. And we kind of were just talking about like the creators we were very inspired by. And that kind of the conversation progressed forward and forward until, and I think in the span of like a week from like us saying like, oh, maybe we should start our own account is when it happened, like all within a week. Like it was very sudden, but we decided to because we wanted to ultimately build a community because we didn't have it in our hometown. And we thought it would
Yeah.
be just very good for us to put ourselves out there, not just in the sense of like, obviously not just like in person, but like online too. So we could potentially draw in more friends because we had none. Yeah, no
Yeah,
friends.
no, I get that. What was the video that kind of like made you guys start getting followers?
I can't recall a specific video. I think the one where we started getting the most followers was her taking care of me after my surgery. That was one that went very much viral. But I think it was just, we never really had like one viral moment. It was just like consistent, like micro viral videos that kind of just put ourselves out there consistently and then just started to like slowly just snowball. We didn't like get 100,000 followers. Like we reached that after a year and a half of posting. So it was
Yeah.
never like one moment we were just like bam. It was very much like a slow progression.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, yeah, so you talked about how you and Danny, y'all saw people online and you were like, "Oh, like I look up to these people," or like, "Oh, everyone knows that couple, like they're so cute." So, at some point, you and your partner connect with another couple in the community who is Jesse and Bertram.
Yes.
How did that come about? How did you guys plan that? Who reached out to who? Like, how did that happen?
So on our account, I followed many queer creators just because I also wanted our page, like you could go to our following and see like other queer creators that we kind of really align with. So I followed Jesse, and then randomly one night, Danny and I were dog sitting, and I see the notification that Jesse had followed me back. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was so ecstatic. Like I was seriously like jumping up and down. Like I was, because that was the first person. At this rate, we had like 25,000 followers. So it like felt like we were kind of doing something right, and that like what we were working towards was very much starting to look achievable. It wasn't just like a goal of ours. Like it was very much starting to kind of become a reality for us. And also,
Yeah.
Jesse was one of the influencers that I looked up to. Like I still think Jesse is such like a symbol of perseverance and getting through something like as horrendous as what she went through, like still being able to come out of it a much better person and learning so much, taking like all the trauma you learned and making a difference like with what the cards you were dealt. Like I just think that's very powerful. So I very much looked up to her. So when she was the first person to follow back, it was insane because it was one of like my very favorite creators.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, so she followed you back. And so, how did you guys decide to get together? I know you and Danny, like, y'all flew out to Cali. So, like, how did the collab come into place?
I DM'd Jesse and I basically greased her feet. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I think so highly of you. Like you were one of the people that like inspired us like to start making content. Like we admire how vulnerable you are online and how far you've come. Like it was kind of in that sense. And then we just got talking, and I think we realized like that we had a very like it was a very easy like connection. Like we were very much like in tune with each other. Like it felt like it truly was. And I can still appreciate the friendship for what it was. It was like we just connected like very quickly. And I don't think I was ready for that because I kind of didn't have any idea of what like the queer community on TikTok looked like until talking to her. And talking to her was just, it made me like so excited for what was to come and like to be part of such an incredible supportive community as what I thought at this time. So it was, that's kind of like as we continued talking, we never really stopped talking. We exchanged numbers. We were always texting each other or anything like that. And then we decided like, oh, we should all meet each other. And that's when Danny and I decided to schedule a time to fly out to Cali.
Oh, you guys are out there, y'all are chilling, y'all are having fun. And then when did
Cancellation strikes.
Okay, I didn't know if we were going to talk about that. So, yeah, so talk about that. Tell us. You don't have to obviously like go into depth, but yeah, so Jesse got canceled a couple days before you guys were going to collab with them, right?
Yeah,
And I know like online, people probably wondered why you and Danny wanted to collab with someone who
of course.
was canceled and all that stuff. So, yeah, kind of tell us like your mindset during that and like what made you want to just continue the collab with Jesse and Bertram.
So, yeah, what people, yeah, sorry, these names are atrocious. I should have thought more deeply about them. Anyway, but my favorite show was Jessie, so I had to. We were already there, which is like the big part people are missing. They think like we just we're like, Jesse's getting canceled. Let's hop on a plane and collab. Like, this sounds like the perfect time. Also, at this point, we did not have our account. We got hacked because my stupid ass gave away our freaking password on a stupid email link. So we didn't have our account. We have not had our account at this rate for a month, and we got it back the day before we were supposed to collaborate with them. However, we had already been in California for 3 or 4 days at this point. I got an aggressive food poisoning, which was everything and more. So we had already been there. And that's when the cancellation occurred. And at this rate, like we saw firsthand how much it was impacting Jessie and how heartbroken she was. And we were like, okay, like we're never going to, it's not really, we're never going to casually be back in California. Like, we need to go back home to our jobs eventually. Like, we can't afford to just fly out to Cali for another time. So we were like, you know what? Like, it's unfortunate and you made a mistake. However long ago it was, it still doesn't take away from the gravity of the situation. But we kind of acknowledged, like, seeing someone firsthand going through a cancellation, it was very hard to watch. And we kind of saw how disturbing and how horrible it was for Jessie to endure. So the last thing Danny and I wanted to do in this moment was make her feel any worse than she already was obviously feeling. So we were like, you know what? Yeah, like we're going to move forward with this collab. You're a good person. We
Yeah.
can see it. We know that. These people are trifling. How dare they say this about you, even though it's true? We made kind of a call based off of our emotions at the time. And like, we kind of based it off of the way Jessie was handling herself and like what would make Jessie feel better. We weren't really thinking about the long term impacts of it being on social media because at this rate we had never collaborated with anyone. We did not have a large following. So we were like, okay, like we didn't know the gravity of what the outcome would be from that decision because we had never experienced it. We didn't know how many people cared until after the collab. So we kind of went into it with we were kind of just like blind to what the reality would be, unfortunately. And we got to learn. So that was awesome. But I'm glad we did. I'm glad.
And it's like blame you for like still wanting to collab with them because first of all, like I don't know too much about the cancellation, like exactly what it was. I know that there was a word that was said that you shouldn't be saying. And this might be a hot take, but I believe that people make mistakes. I feel like if it happened a while back and people are digging and she still hasn't said the word, like she's never said it since then, I'm like, she made a mistake. She shouldn't have said it. Let's move on. Like take accountability and let's just keep moving. I
And
don't
the
know how
issue
recent it
was,
was.
yeah, it was around like I think 5, 6 years ago. However, the issue with it was she wasn't taking accountability, which made the situation, it just exacerbated the situation at hand. because there was no accountability being taken. Like, I agree in the sense where people make mistakes, and unfortunately, we are all learning along the way. So to hold somebody to a standard of, oh, they can never make a mistake, I think that's kind of diabolical. But I think the issue was, or at least for me, the issue was there was no accountability to be taken, and she wasn't taking the steps to make it okay. But how she was handling it was what made it that much worse. I think if people make mistakes, they need to just flat out say, you know what, I did this, I'm sorry. Like, basically, just take accountability, talk your shit, acknowledge what you did, apologize, and try and move forward. But the issue was she was trying to move forward without even addressing it. And that was what was kind of confusing Danny and I, because it was kind of like a back and forth. Like, I might make a video about it, I might not. And the whole time, like, Danny and I were kind of like, okay, but like, you really should make a video, because obviously people know this and it is common knowledge, and it can't just be swept under the rug. If I were like perceived as some of my actions from even 1 year ago, 2 years ago, three, I am not the same person. Everybody every day is growing and learning something new about themselves. And I think it's just like important that as long as they are making a conscious effort to be a good human being and contribute a positive narrative to society, then like, and that's even with this whole situation right now, it's not the issue at hand anymore. It's the lack of accountability. It always is the lack of accountability. It's when people try to act like nothing happened in the first place, and that tells me like, oh, I did something wrong, but I don't have the mental capacity or the self-awareness to bring it forward and acknowledge it, because I don't want people to, I don't know this information about me, so I'm just not going to say anything at all and pretend it never happened and hope that people don't remember. That's
Yeah.
the issue.
No, exactly. Like I said earlier, it's like I don't blame you guys for wanting to collab with them, because like you said, like you knew her, you enjoyed her, you knew her heart, so you were like, okay, it was a mistake. You're different now. So like I get it. You shouldn't have said it, but let's collab. Like I get that. I get your train of thought, you know? It's like, but then whenever she didn't take accountability, right? Did she ever make a post?
She did, but it wasn't very productive. It was more just kind of a lot of, it was kind of just being written off, and there was a lot of excuses. And that was where I kind of raised an eyebrow.
Okay, so the turning point for you guys. So you guys collabed. Um, was the experience fun? Like was it a fun
Yeah, it
experience?
was so fun. And that's like the hardest part about all of this, is because they were so, like, they were very good friends. And I don't know if it was just because in that time we were kind of serving them in the sense where we were new faces and they were kind of amidst cancellations. So, like, to kind of have like a clean slate associated with you, or like a couple who hasn't been known for any cancellations so far. I don't know if like that was more because of it, if we were just, I don't know. It's just like it's very hard to read now knowing all the stupid sentence. But at this point in time, all I knew was, yeah, they experienced a cancellation. It was really sad to watch and to watch her endure. But we are very like, these people have become our friends. Like, they're not just collaborators anymore. They're truly friends, and we had so much fun. Like, our friendship is forever going to be something I will miss, because there were aspects of it that were so fun. And it's why it's so unfortunate that all of this had to happen, because I can't even think about like what tomfoolery we'd be up to if it never happened. But also, I think I'm just like a very sentimental person, and I try and see the best in people no matter if they raw dog me or not. So I'm just trying my best to like, I don't want to discredit the friendship because it was incredible, but there were definitely times where I should have been more aware. And you asked what the turning point was, correct?
Yeah, like when was like the shift for you guys? Like when was like the red flags? Like when did you guys start kind of realizing like what the fuck?
Like, oh man. We kind of started to question things a little bit after Bertram experienced another cancellation within a few months. So we were like, oh my God. With Creepy Connie. It was when that all started. No, not Creepy Connie, with Miss Chesterfield. Oh my gosh, I even can't even keep these names straight. Creepy Connie at this point. Creepy Connie, I want to say Creepy Connie, there's nothing creepy about Connie. It is a character from the show. Her name in the show is Creepy Connie. They're not creepy. Like, I have to say that because so many people are like, what makes Creepy Connie creepy? There is nothing really about. I'm going way off track here, but Creepy
Okay.
Connie, I am so inspired and continue to be so inspired by Connie, and they hold themselves online in such a way that I can really like respect and appreciate. And although the friendship also came to an end, I still want to acknowledge that I think they really are trying to take steps forward because of course they've made mistakes. Obviously, they are very public. They were very public matters. But I've
Mhm.
seen so much growth from the short time that I did associate with Creepy Connie. And I'm not even just saying that, like I truly mean that. There's nothing that Creepy Connie truly was just kind of there. Like
Okay.
truly does not involve Creepy Connie besides just kind of guilty by association. So
Okay.
I can really respect Creepy Connie in the way where it's like, you know what? She was put in a really difficult position, and of course, she's going to stand with her friends and the ones that have been there from the beginning, not freaking Danny and I, which I understand. Like, if I were being put in that position, I don't know what I would do because there was no way that
Yeah.
she would have been able to associate with us while associating with them. So for her, I'm like, okay, I respect you and like your choice to choose peace in this matter. I truly don't have anything negative to say about Creepy Connie. However,
So
back
when you
to
say sorry, when you say she chose peace, like she kind of just like stepped away from you guys and just kept her loyalty to Jesse and Bertram.
yes, she didn't want to be okay. She said there was one there was some things where I was kind of like when it was all falling apart, which still people don't understand that it all everything came down like one situation at hand came down to this moment. It was a very much we decided in this moment like to not associate with each other when I wanted to make a video and Jesse and Bertram did not want me to, and I was tired of feeling like my own social media was being controlled by an outside source. So it all kind of came crashing down, but for Creepy Connie, I can respect the fact that she was just doing what she knew her friends needed in that moment, which was to not associate with me ever again. Which trust, like, okay, twin, like, fine, like, don't associate with me ever again. Like, that's cool. But like, I wish in some aspects of my life I would have chosen peace. So to see Creepy Connie do it, even if it's against me, I can still acknowledge good for them because ultimately they did not want to be put in the middle. However, a few times they did insert themselves in the middle, so I was kind of confused when they kind of spoke as if they were tired of being put in the middle. Because I was like, "Hello, you kind of spawned right in the middle and haven't done anything to get out of it." But there truly was there was nothing Creepy Connie could do to be associated with us. So like all I could do is just say, you know what, like I'm happy that they did choose their peace, even if it does mean losing that friendship. Because at the end of the day, it truly is social media. Of course, people are like trying to climb like these social ladders, but like people forget that it is like this, like these are real people. And there's so many instances again where I wish I would have chosen peace. So to see someone else do it, it's kind of taught me like, you know what, sometimes it's okay to take a step back and be like, you know what, this doesn't serve me anymore. I can't be associated with you. And
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Like Creepy Kanye, her loyalty was to Jesse and Bertram because they were homies, right, for a while. And
yeah,
Creepy Connie just met you guys, right? So like you guys were like the new friends in the group. So I get it. I get why Creepy Connie would, choose her peace and keep the loyalty to.
I didn't want to put her in that position to have to choose. And I even when everything was happening, I still was like, you know what? Like, I really respect, like, I texted her separately and I was like, you know, I still really respect you. And I really hope this doesn't impact our friendship. Obviously, it fucking did. Are you dumb? But unfortunately, yeah, it did. It did. But I said that because it was like, you know what? Like, I still like, I wanted her to know, like, I don't truly have any bad blood with you. Besides, in like the final moments, some of the decisions she made in handling conflict with both of them, I've kind of learned that adults, even if people are a few years older than you, they don't have it all figured out and they can still make really petty choices. I was kind of like mind boggled by the way some of these individuals navigated conflict. And there were, of course, some moments with Creepy Connie where I was like, what? Like, again, being in the middle. And then also when we all decided to part ways, she kind of tried to drive a wedge between Danny and I, which obviously didn't work because Danny's my freaking kitten. I'm her alpha. There's no coming between that. So seeing her try was kind of weird. But besides that, like, truly, I think very highly of Creepy Connie, and I definitely could take a few notes from the way they handle themselves.
Yeah.
But
No, I get
I'm
it.
trying to
I
think
get
what
it.
you were saying.
Okay, no, yeah. So we we got on the topic of Creepy Connie because you said Bertram and Creepy Connie were in a
Yeah,
cancellation or something, and then you were like, "Oh,
it
wait,
was
wait, wait, no,
Miss
I
Chesterfield.
meant Bertram and
Yeah,
Miss Chesterfield." So go back to that. So this is when you started to realize things
I was like,
were
oh, yeah. Things definitely. I kind of felt like shucks, like when Bertram was going through the cancellation with Miss Chesterfield, because at this point in time, I already shared this on TikTok, but I was already aware that Bertram had cheated because Jesse told me. So I was kind of like, I didn't know the extent of the cheating. All I knew was that she cheated. So I didn't know. And of course, Miss Chesterfield was saying, yeah, she did cheat. And Bertram was saying, no, I didn't. If anything, Miss Chesterfield was insecure, or some people painted it to be micro cheating. But at this point in time, I did not know the extent of the cheating. And I didn't want to say, hey, like, I actually do know you cheated. So, like, how did you cheat, mamas? Like, it just felt really odd because I didn't want, I just felt weird asking someone that when they're like amidst a cancellation and then your friends coming to you and questioning you. Like, it just wouldn't have been productive. And I was going to see her a month later. So I was like, you know what? I'll like talk to her more about it then. But at this point in time, I knew something was not aligning because I was like, how does Miss Chesterfield have all the receipts? How, and also Miss Chesterfield just conveys a very truthful, like, she's a very truthful, she has like a very reliable persona online. Like, you know, she wouldn't just pull that out of anywhere. You know, she's speaking from experience. And also, even in her songs, if you really like look at the lyrics and dissect them, you can kind of connect the dots. And I'm like, she wouldn't just be creating these songs and like posting about like her experiences if they didn't actually happen. So that's when I kind of was like, wait, like, I'm doing the math and it's not really adding up. But I was like, you know what? Like, at this point, it was just a smear campaign against the two of them. And I didn't necessarily want to get in the middle of it because at this rate, I had already been associated with Jessie and her cancellation. So I was nervous to insert myself again. So I was kind of waiting for our trip in June to kind of ask her about it. But that was when I started to notice, like, wait, things aren't adding up. What's going on? I'm scared.
No, it is scary. It is scary
It is.
because Miss Chesterfield, God, these names are crazy. Okay.
Yeah. I should have done like Family Guy.
You should have done like, I don't know, just like regular fucking names. I don't know.
I
Bertram,
was
like,
gonna do I was going to do sinister names. Like, I was gonna do like, I'll tell you after, but they were
okay.
gonna be like, they were good. I really thought about what I wanted these names to be. And I don't know
Yeah.
why I chose
Yeah.
Jesse, but because now it kind of ruined the show for
It's
me, but
okay.
whatever. Actually, that's not possible. I love Jesse. The show.
The show, let's be clear. But okay, you said you were scared. Yeah, because Miss Chesterfield, I forgot which one it was. Did Miss Chesterfield make the post first or did Bertram
Yeah,
make
Miss
the
Chesterfield.
TikTok first?
I
Okay.
believe it was Miss Chesterfield because I don't think Bertram would ever, ever, ever admit to a potential wrongdoing. They would never put themselves in a position to be ridiculed. So it was definitely Miss Chesterfield, and I don't even know that for sure, but I'm just based off of my calculations.
You're like, I think that's true. I know Miss Chesterfield didn't just post it to post it. There was a reason because Miss Chesterfield likes to be in her own peace in her bubble. She doesn't want to
I
fucking deal
think
with
people
this. You
were
know what I mean?
dissecting the timeline and they were examining like the photos prior to their relationship and they realized like why are they basically stroking each other's hog when at this point in time Bertram was in a relationship with Miss Chesterfield.
Yeah, there was digging, there was people were doing something, and that's what caused Miss Chesterfield to come out and speak her shit. Okay, so Miss Chesterfield made the video, and then you, Bertram, and Jesse and Danny, y'all are all friends at this point. What did Bertram like mention the video to you guys? Like, was she like, guys, what should I say? Like, what was the context?
Yeah, we were very much in the know of what was going on, but of course social media wasn't and Bertram was kind of coming to the group chat asking what they should do or if this was the right thing to say. So I knew there was going to be a video coming, but when I saw it online was like the first time I saw it when I actually listened to like the entire thing because I ain't got that time. When I saw it, I was like, that's when I kind of was like, wait a second, like it's not lining up because what Miss Chesterfield is saying she has proof for, yet you're it was just like it was like a very like
And
Danny and I were very suspicious.
yeah, and Jesse at this point already mentioned to you that Bertram cheated. Did Bertram, God, these fucking names. Did Bertram know that Jesse spoke to you guys about it? Like was Bertram aware that Jesse came to you guys and was like, "Yeah, this
Mm-mm.
happened."
No, and this was in like our
Okay.
first night of meeting each other when Jesse was like, "Hey, I don't want you to think any differently of Bertram, but in their previous relationship they cheated," and we were like, "Why are you telling us this?" Like, because it was like our first time meeting them, but it also like kind of put like it kind of did damper my perception of Bertram until like I actually got to know them, and then I was like, wait, like I don't know what this cheating entailed, but I didn't know if it was based off of the pictures that she cheated or if it was more than that or if she like made out with somebody. Like I truly did not know the extent and I didn't think to freaking ask, even though I'm like literally the queen of asking very intrusive questions. But it was our first night meeting, so I didn't want to be like, wait, how'd she cheat? Like I didn't want to just look like I was like digging for information because genuinely I cared about these people and the friendship a lot. So I didn't want to put it on the line or make it look like I was trying to dissect a very real situation that occurred between a previous relationship and Bertram.
That's so odd. So Jesse just randomly came up to you or came up to you. I'm sure y'all were hanging out, but and just mentioned it? Like were there certain like was there a conversation that was brought up before? Like what
I
do you
think we were
think
talking
made
about how they
her
met. Yeah, how they met because and then also I didn't even know about Bertram's previous relationship until Jesse was telling me about how her and Bertram met. So I never even knew like there was an ex in the picture at this time.
So
I thought
Jesse when
Bertram
she
was
came to you, she didn't specifically say like, yeah, I was involved. It was more of like Bertram was caught cheating in the past relationships. It wasn't like
yeah,
specifically involving Jesse, but maybe.
yeah. I mean, if you connect the dots, it's like very apparent, but in that moment, no. And also, I don't think Jesse would ever admit like I was the other woman because I feel like Jesse very much deeply cares about what people think. So I don't think, and I don't remember her addressing that.
Okay, so what's her face? Fucking Bertram makes the video and you see it and you're like, "Huh, interesting." Before the video was posted, I know you said Bertram was texting you guys like in the group chat and everything. Did Bertram ever say like, "Okay, I'm going to make this video and I'm going to admit to like the things that I did, like I'm going to just do it," or was Bertram just like, "Guys, what should I say?"
It was more like, what should I do? They were kind of just like talking to us, like kind of just, it was more like they were just thinking out loud in a sense. More just like, or should I say this, or should I do this, or should I even make a video? Like it was very much just kind of looking for insight, but I don't remember the conversation being very significant because I remember seeing the video and I was like, ooh, like I was like, I wouldn't have said that because I knew the reality of it, but then again, I still didn't know the extent. So I was like, maybe like these pictures are what the cheating was referring to or what Jessie was alluding to when she told us initially. I did not know the full story, and nor did I really want to ask. I was very much like, you know what, these are your situations, these are your choices, and your past like actions. So whatever you did, I did not want to be involved because we were still getting backlash for even involving with Jessie to begin with. So
Yeah.
then when Bertram, it was coming out that Bertram also did something that most people would consider the worst thing you could do in a relationship. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like, there's no way. Like, not again. Like, I was so like, this is like crazy. Like, I was like, I was more anxious to know the truth about it. And I didn't want to know the truth because I was like, if I know the truth, then I have to also be like, I don't want to be an accomplice for this. Like, I don't stand with, nobody should be cheating. Like, why are we cheating? So, like, I stand against cheating, you guys. So, me personally, I stand against cheating. I don't know about you, but I was like, I cannot be involved with you. So I was like, I don't want to know. Like, I was like, I don't want to know anything more than the person just scrolling on their phone because
Yeah.
it was just too much on my shoulders. But then, of course, putting two and two together is when, in the way that Miss Chesterfield was talked about, I was like, there has to be something because nobody talks about their much as Bertram did if they know if they it felt like some sort of damage control before anything even came to surface. Like I was kind of like, why do we have to know this? Because it didn't matter in that moment, but I guess to Bertram, like it meant enough to share. So I was kind of like, I was very confused. I was so confused, and this is my introduction to the queer world. Hello,
You're like, "I am terrified. I don't want to be a
I
part of this
know
community anymore."
it was horrible.
Okay, so then things started to go downhill with you, Jesse, and Bertram, and I guess Creepy Connie, but Creepy Connie was just kind of in her own little world.
They were there. Yeah, they were just going through heartbreak, so they were kind of more caught up in their own issue, which I can completely like I would want no business in any drama if I was grieving a relationship. So, can completely
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah.
But yeah, things were
Okay, so
downhill.
things started to go downhill. And what kind of caused you, Jesse, and Bertram to kind of part ways? Like, what happened?
Previously, I had already dealt with there was a lot of like what is it where one person like can do something but then the other can't. What is that called? Double standard. There was
Yeah.
a crazy double standard in the friendship where I would even like if I commented on a specific person's post, I would be sent it on a screenshot and kind of confronted and talked about how it was kind of like a betrayal. So like I couldn't associate with certain people that I used to really, really admire because of somebody else's experience with them. So I already felt like pretty like I didn't know that being associated with these specific people would also, I wouldn't be able to associate with anyone else, basically. I didn't know that going into this, but ultimately that's kind of how it felt like it came down to. unfortunately, but I would comment on someone's post, it would be sent to me. So I already felt like I kind of had to watch what I was doing on social media so I wouldn't be put in that awkward position of being confronted by your friend, especially someone that really took a chance on us. Because at this point, Danny and I, the first collab, we did not have a lot of followers. Like, we maybe had, I think, like 70,000, which I say not a lot. Like, of course, that's a lot. But compared to them, like we were like it was kind of minuscule in like the grand scheme of things compared to them. So they were kind of it felt like we always joked about them doing charity work by collaborating with Danny and I. So like I was like they like really like they took a chance on us and like we like now have this like beautiful friendship. Like I don't want to do anything that could put it on the line, but then as it continuously like it felt like I couldn't do the things or post some of the things that I wanted because of the way Jesse would react. And I felt really odd about it because it was just very off putting because we started becoming friends because what I posted on social media. But then I would say, like, oh, I'm thinking about posting this. And it would be like, no, you can't post that. And I was like, who is you? Like, I didn't know you were like a Danny affiliate. And I didn't want like I never wanted it to get to a point where it was like our posts all intertwined together. Like I don't want their posts to resemble me as a person because I'm friends with them. Like personally, I don't hop on Danny's hog on TikTok. Like we don't post a lot of cute couples content. We don't allude to us being intimate. Like we don't like I hate to say it in this way, but we don't like sexualize our relationship online. We don't it's just not the way we want to do things. But on the other hand, like this couple, like some of their content we didn't align with personally, but it was like, you know what? Like this is what makes us all different. And even the way I navigate my own relationship, it's, you know what? At the end of the day, we are two different people who every day choose to love each other. So we're gonna be like, you don't want your partner to like be exactly who you are. Like you like because at the end of the day, like Danny's gonna make decisions that maybe I'm like, I would never do that, but go you because it's you and it's your choice. I navigate it in the same way as I do in friendships, where it's like, you know what, like we are friends and we care about each other and we'll always be there for each other, but like we also live separate lives and we are going to do separate things that maybe we don't align with, but at the end of the day, we're still friends. So it felt really odd that like our content was being kind of dissected or like no you like I didn't like being told daddy didn't like being told no, so it was very like hard for me to like continuously feel like oh well I can't because even moments when I wasn't told directly no I was still like this would never fly, like this is not okay because they would get upset because they have connections and they have people that Danny and I didn't at this time, so I was like okay fine, like out of respect to your friendship, I won't like do specific things. But then when it came to a video I wanted to make, they were not okay with it. And that's when things started, that's when things really escalated because I was like, well, I'm still gonna. Like I was like, I'm still gonna. I was like, I will take the measures necessary to ensure that you are considered, but ultimately at the end of the day, like I want to use my platform to speak on the things that are important to me, so I don't think it involves you. Um, and this was like this
Hmm.
happened like this it all like happened very quickly. And then ultimately this made Jesse very upset that I would even consider doing this. But for me, I had already been told no or had already held myself back so much because of Jessie and what would make her comfortable or not, and it felt like I was kinda neglecting myself and what I truly wanted from my own social media. So, it kinda got to a point where I was just so tired, and I was like, "You know what? Like, we can disagree." I did not think it was gonna be the end of the friendship because of this, but I was like, "We can agree to disagree, like, you don't have to like this post, but I'm gonna
And real
post it."
quick, your post, like what you're saying, like just so people don't think you're like some like drama-filled person that you're just wanting to like post a bunch
No,
of
it
like
wasn't.
mean
Yeah.
shit. Yeah, you kind of explain your content.
No, so I do make a couple parodies, which I haven't done. I only really do towards JoJo Siwa, Queen. I'm a fan, like actually. I guess I'm a Siwanator. But my content is very like it's kind of like just funny, goofy stuff like with funny audios or like just me talking like in like a general sense about like being in a queer relationship or anything like that or it truly is just whatever comes to mind in that day. I don't even have a specific niche besides people just know I'm queer, so I guess that makes me a freaking TikTok lesbian. But it was never I never have like I don't want to use my platform to attract any hate to anybody. I wanted to speak. However, like at this point in time, people were kind of coming to me and saying like, "Hey, like you have some really good takes. Like why don't you post more about like how you truly feel?" Because I feel like people like some people like don't have like I don't want to say balls, but like they just don't have the ability to post the things that I do because they do have like much they have more to lose. Like for me this isn't my full-time job. So, as people started like appreciating my hot takes and people were like very much like they like it just like it encouraged a lot of like positive discourse in my comments and it brought a lot of people together like certain videos I've made about like different aspects of like my beliefs and like growing up in like a small town and still fucking being here living with my parents. I just wanted to in this specific situation I just wanted to post something that was important to me and that I felt like needed to have attention towards because at this point in time, I felt as though I couldn't use my platform for the things that I felt truly mattered because of what these creators would think of me. So that was kind of it was never going to be it was never a video that was ever going to of course they thought it would directly impact them, which I think is kind of very self-centered to think that you hold that much power over my content that my post is going to be directly to you. Also, after I did post it, they very much put themselves in the middle, so it was very confusing, which is a classic theme. But I just wanted to use my platform to speak on the things that mattered, and that was kind of what got me in trouble. But I was tired of abiding by these.
Got you in trouble, as in like Jesse and Bertram didn't like they didn't like it.
Yeah, it just was something I wanted to address. And I truly like I didn't want it to create the discourse that it did, but unfortunately on social media it's going to. And it didn't happen the way I wanted, but I also feel like Jesse and Bertram did not help that narrative at all. And that's unfortunately all I can really say on that. It was just that specific video happened to be my breaking point where I was like, look, why is this the reality? Like why is everything I do have to be completely tied to you guys? Like I'm my own person and I feel like my account is getting stripped of like my authenticity because I'm nervous about like how it could impact you guys when beforehand like you guys wanted to create with me because you liked my content and you liked me and now it feels like I kind of have to abide by these expectations and it was just really difficult to I don't know. It was a lot of pressure for no reason.
Yeah. Okay, so then that eventually kind of caused you guys to part ways. There may be some things in between, so you can let me know, but you posted a TikTok, kind of explaining what happened. Not really, you were very vague, but like, obviously people knew what you were talking about. So what got you to the point where you were like, no, I need to post this? I also saw your partner, she posted something about how they were on social media talking bad about you guys, being manipulative and like
Yeah.
so like yeah, what got to that point where you guys were like, "No, I need to speak about this."
So we tried our best to stay silent and we did for like 3 months, but we every like week or sometimes twice a week or like it was just very consistent, we would lose a mutual, which it has nothing to do with like the mutual. It was that I already had previously known that Jesse and Bertram have made up completely false narratives about other creators to kind of steer Danny and I away from them when in reality even like it happened with Miss Chesterfield, like we were told a completely different narrative, and unfortunately, like Miss Chesterfield, like I don't want to say was in the right, but had a lot of truth to speak to. So truly there are two sides to every story, and the issue was they were speaking very negatively and spreading these like toxic narratives about Danny and I that weren't true, but it was just to make these people so disgusted with Danny and I to the point of a grown adult, 25, 26, 27, hitting the unfollow button. Even me at 22 years old, like I cannot comprehend going out of my way to smash the unfollow button someone because of somebody else's issue with someone else. I never did that. Even when I was told like, "Hey, don't comment on this person." Sure, I didn't comment anymore because I was taken back and didn't really know what to do, but I never unfollowed. So I was like, what could they be? It was very anxiety inducing. Like, what could they be saying about Danny and I that is so horrible to the point of these grown adults who have their own individual, like, they know us and they have their own perspectives of us. Like, what is making them so disgusted with us that they have to hit the unfollow button? It was just so weird. And some people would follow us and then 3 weeks later they would unfollow. So I was like very, very confused. But the whole time on Reddit, I guess, which I was not aware this was a very prevalent topic on Reddit, it was almost like anyone we interacted with, it would immediately be posted on Reddit, and then that next day that person wouldn't be following us anymore. It was very much like it felt like any move Danny and I made, it was completely annihilated within minutes. It was almost nerve-wracking to even engage with anybody on social media because it was like, okay, like, well, if we engage with them, are they going to receive a DM or do they have connections with these people? Because ultimately, the lesbian TikTok community, it's very intertwined, whether people want to admit it or not. Word gets around. So whatever like they were saying about us and from like our past knowledge of other creators that turned out to be false, it was very anxiety inducing. And Danny and I were kind of like, okay, well, like maybe they're just talking it through. Like everybody needs somebody to lean on. Everybody needs somebody that they can talk to. And I'm like all for that, even if it means dragging my name through the mud. Like that's fine. If like I did something that is worth doing that, then like yeah, go for it. But once it went over like 5 people, I was like, hello. Like I was like very much like concerned with okay, what's being said because these are grown adults. These are people that know us. These are people that have met me and what could they be saying? If you are associated with them, I kind of have learned that there is no loyalty. It's kind of just if you are convenient or if you can serve them in any way. But you're never truly safe. Like you can never, like I have almost like been more nervous. I'm like, did I ever say anything to them? Because like unfortunately, it's probably going to be dissected or shared amongst others, even though they've said things to me that I would never in a million years tell anybody yet. I don't know. It's very weird. And the way it all happened was very weird. And it made Danny and
So did
I
you ever figure
question
out
our
what they
every
were
move.
saying?
No, I never did. Only one person came to me and said that what they were saying was very like inexcusable and that it was like a very like negative narrative, but also these people also experienced it from their end as well. Like this happened to them as well. So they were more coming to me like saying like, "Hey, look, I don't know what's going like I don't know what happened, but like this is what I was told and I don't know if this is like true." So that was kind of like where I kind of raised an eyebrow and I was like, "Oh my God." Like that is when like the kind of anxiety of the situation started because I thought we decided to split ways and that was it. But then they started involving literally everybody and their mom. So it was kind of like, all right, like what how do I like it's so anxiety inducing when you don't know what's being said, yet you know something is being said and you know what has happened to other people. So it's very, 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 it's a horrible cycle to go through. And I want to wish it on anybody because it truly devastated Danny and I. It like kind of made it where it was like we worked so hard and now everything, it felt like everything we had worked for was kind of just ripped from our fingers because of one experience that we shared with another influencer couple, when on the other hand, like we never said anything about them until we absolutely had to, which was on everything we said online. We never said
So,
anything to any other person.
yeah, so sorry if like you've already made this clear. So, the whole Reddit situation, the whole like them talking shit about y'all, was that before or after you made the video on TikTok?
This was all happening before.
So, what was their beef with you guys? Why were they so upset besides you making that TikTok that they didn't want you to make?
I literally have no idea. I think Danny and I kind of came to the consensus that for some reason or somehow we are a threat, which makes no sense because it's like we're all on this platform together and you would think the queer community would be unified and supportive, but it's absolutely the fuck not. Of course, but however, the situation has definitely shown me that there are amazing people within this industry who are very worth getting to know. So for that, I'm grateful for. However, what I thought I was being put into, I thought it was that. So I don't know. It was just, I think I'll never know why it all started because I genuinely thought we were just moving on with our lives. And to find out that we weren't, I was very confused, but I just kind of disregarded it until it got to a point where it was like no longer, I couldn't just keep ignoring it. And also, like, they are very active in their own snark page on Reddit, which is like actually freaking diabolical. I've said diabolical so many times, but like, I'm gonna say it again. Like, it was crazy. Like, even like the things they would, or people would assume, like, oh, this is definitely them because it was the only Jesse and Bertram apologists in the snark page. But like, some of the things that were said about Danny and I, even in the Reddit, were like, are you kidding me? Like it was just so hard to like read and grasp that like somebody that used to be your friend is like having such an easy time like saying such like negative things about you, especially when Danny and I did everything in our power to not air them out in any extent. And of course we have our support system and we have our people that we lean on, but it never came at their expense. So that's when it was very confusing because it was like, hello, why are we
Yeah.
doing this?
Jessie did come to you and she mentioned that like there was cheating and you said Bertram had no idea that you knew. So did Bertram ever in the friendship admit to you or Danny that, like, yeah, there was cheating, but I'm just not going to take accountability? Or was Bertram just very, like, closed lip, I'm not talking about it, and it was more of Jesse that, like, outed Bertram? Does that make sense?
It was,
Like, did Bertram
yeah, it
ever?
was Jesse that outed Bertram. I think through the things that Bertram would say, it was kind of like she never explicitly said, yes, I did that, because I don't think she knew that we knew. And at that point, I didn't want to make that obvious. I just thought it, and also I didn't think
Yeah.
Jesse wanted that to be out in the open that, like, hey, your girlfriend actually told us you did this. Why would you do that? Like, I didn't want to create any conflict within their relationship. So she never explicitly said it, but just like from the way, again, she would talk about the relationship or the way she painted Miss Chesterfield to be like almost very manipulative, toxic, and just like how she did online, crazy. I think the way people talk about their exes is a great example of where it gives you how they are and like who their character is, because if someone didn't do anything wrong in their relationship, they're not going to overcompensate and air out their ex. Like they're not going to,
Yeah.
or at least in my experience, like the people who talk negatively about their ex, I just think it's damage control, and I think there's like because they also did things that were wrong. And of course, like I can acknowledge like they both definitely did something that isn't. I think Bertram's video that she made about Miss Chesterfield was completely just out of line and very much invalidating and very, there was just a lot of gaslighting, and for that I think it definitely speaks more on Bertram's character than it ever did on Miss Chesterfield.
I wonder how Jesse felt after that video because Jesse knew that she told you guys that there was cheating, and then Bertram comes out and she's like, Miss Chesterfield is just very insecure, like all of this stuff. But in reality, Jesse, like, I don't know, it just makes me think. I wonder if Jesse's like, well,
Yeah,
like you did
I
cheat,
think
so
about that
like,
too.
you know what I mean?
I honestly don't think that Jesse even thought about, oh, wait, I told Tegan and Danny that, because I think she told way more people than just us, considering that all happened within like our first night of meeting each other. However, I always think about like how you could just sit there and watch your partner kind of fabricate something like that could be so detrimental to somebody else's not only mental health but like their career as well. It was like our I it just never makes sense as to how like you could like let your partner do that and like not say, hey, this feels really wrong, and like how, but also at the end of the day, like they completely enable each other. And I think the life that they live, that they portray online, is completely false. And well, and I know for a fact, like it's false. It's not how it is perceived to be, but that's their goal. Like they don't want to be authentic, no matter how many times they want to say it, or they're not going to be vulnerable. They're never going to give anybody an inside look at what they really go through. So I think for them, their top priority is just maintaining a like almost goal like relationship and just kind of cosplaying like we practice kindness and let's all spread love in this world. Like I think it is just overcompensating for their reality, because if you really wanted to do that, you wouldn't let your partner sit there and fabricate an entire narrative to fit their online presence. I just have like a very heavy heart and I've just been very anxious. And I feel like it's because like I know I inflicted so much negativity onto somebody's life, in which that was like the last thing I ever wanted to do. And although I did it to like protect myself and my girlfriend, it still felt so horrible. And like the way I've been feeling, like it seriously has made me question, like, was this all even worth it? And although like I know it was worth it, because not only did Miss Chesterfield deserve that clarity, but also I feel like their audience like needs to know like, hey, it's not all that it is perceived to be. But like I feel like that's why I've just been so just sad, because it's like I never wanted this to happen, yet it had to. And I don't know, it's just it's very hard knowing that you are the cause or the root of somebody's negative. Things felt heavy even before it. Like it was like very hard to watch, and it was very hard to continue being online, because it was like, wow, like so much is going on behind the scenes, and like to pretend that everything's okay when it isn't is like exactly what I didn't want to do on social media. Like I want to be very real about like, hey, although like I do have like a following and I'm very like privileged in that aspect and like the things I've gotten to do, but also like it's not all that it seems. I never want to portray that it's all sunshine and butterflies and rainbows when it absolutely isn't. Like, and I didn't know that going into it at all, and I've had to learn. And I've learned so much, but I wish I fucking didn't have to. Like, damn, like I wish none of this happened, but I was put in a position where it was like, okay, well, what would you do? Like,
Okay, so what's next for you and your partner?
I want to freaking move out. Obviously, duty calls. The economy is ass. Society's ass. So I think right now we're just kind of in this transitional period of we don't really know what's to come next. Besides that, we're moving. We don't know where. Of course, we have a few like options that we are kind of like debating between. But ultimately, it's like I have discovered that social media, like I don't know if it's necessarily like something that I want to like I want to devote all my time to, and I don't know if it's something that I want to do like in the long term. Like I don't think I ever want it to like be my job, but like I think right now like we're just trying to find ourselves and like who we want to be online and who we want to be like in this world, what we want to do. I think we're just right now like we're trying to get our money up, we're trying to get our funny up, and I don't know, we're just trying to really navigate how we want to move forward and how like where we want to move to. And it's like a lot of exciting stuff, but it is very stressful. Like so I'm excited for this like chapter to kind of get to know myself and for Danny to get to know herself. But I think right now like it's just kind of moving forward and determining what we want to do in the future that brings us joy and isn't just strolling on social media, as fun as it is.
So to say, as fun as it is. Well, Teaghan, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for, trusting in me and coming on this podcast and, feeling safe enough to speak your story on here. So I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me.
And if you want to drop your socials, let people know where to find you, your Instagram, your TikTok, all that stuff.
Yes, my TikTok is Teague Danny and my Instagram is Teagan Kelly. We also have our joint account on Instagram that is also Teague Danny. That's where you can find us lurking. We have a YouTube, but it's dog shit, so don't subscribe yet because we're doing a revamp.
It's dog
That's
shit.
it is like it's dead.
I get it.
I haven't figured out how to edit.
Okay, well, for my listeners, I post every Wednesday. I have some really cool people coming on. If you're listening on audio, make sure to follow my YouTube and my Instagram. Everything is linked below. And if you're watching, make sure to subscribe and follow and give me a good rating on on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I love you guys so much. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.